I'm Dr. Fred Ogola. I'm a professor of strategy and decision making at Strathmore Business School. This week, what we are seeing trending is that Nairobi Securities Exchange wishes to remove the term limit for the CEO and the chairman. Of course, there's always this challenge whereby people want to push more term limits. So does it mean that the vision and the mission of the current chairperson and the CEO have not been met, or that he is more qualified and we can't get someone to replace him? That is something maybe you want to think about. The second thing, we are seeing that the fuel prices are predicted that they may go down. Remember, now they are retailing at 179 shillings, 30 cents. So they are talking about the issue of like I told you last week in the last week's segment, that the landing price of fuel has continued to go down. Therefore, we could expect that the government start now to make the fuel more affordable to Kenyans, and this could be a very big relief if that happens. The third thing we see trending is that for the first time again in a short while, Unga hits the headline of the newspaper. Daily Nation talks about the fact that Unga has gone up. It was supposed to be below 100 shillings, but now it is 230 shillings. We're also seeing fuel has remained at 179 shillings. And also there's a challenge that 4 million Kenyans can be facing starvation because of the serious drought that is affecting the country. The Hustler Fund of 50 billion people are still waiting for. And now, should this be called, is the economy getting stable or not? Let me just point out that the fact that this is happening does not mean the economy is going bad, because the economy is still growing at the expected rate. The country is still getting the gross national revenue the way it's expected. What is happening is that the government has not decided to put money on alleviating the challenges of people. There's a difference between economic development and economic growth. Economic growth is that the national revenue in terms of taxes being collected from KRA can be going up, increasing the GDP by 5.6%. But where is the money going? Where is the government taking money? If the government puts money in education, if the government puts money in healthcare, if the government puts the money into cost of living, then cost of living go down. So the fact that we're having very difficult times in terms of cost of living does not mean the economy is not growing. The economy is growing and it's growing very well. So then the second last thing is talking about the fact that the current president, William Ruto, has got his 5th foreign trip in 4 weeks. So people are saying, is this a tourist president or not? I'm sure that the media is trying to judge him harshly, but let's first of all wait and see. Foreign trips are what I call lagging variables. Leading variables is that what do we get as an economy? If we talk about expanding the East African community to become a free trading bloc, will that happen? Is it going to lower the cost of fuel, for example, the deals being signed about gas deals and the rest? Is there some goodies he'll bring back home after these foreign trips? So that's the only time we can do. We can wait. We can only wait and see whether something will come out from those foreign trips. For now, you can judge or not judge. But the point is that benchmarking from here, Kibaki turned out the economy very well. Did he make these foreign trips the way he's making now? Even if you look about some of the best turning economies across the world, like Denmark, how often does their president travel across the world looking for goodies? Don't we have ways in which we can depend on ourselves internally, or we are looking from outside? Is he an inside looking out president, or is an outside looking in president? So that is what we shall see as time goes by, but I still call it too early to judge. The last thing about this week, which is turning very much, is that the fact that people are discussing about the issue of the cabinet. I'm sure the parliament will be having their first agenda of the day, order of the day will be about vetting the cabinet for Ruto. At the same time, the PSS have been already shortlisted. There are almost 500 PSS to be shortlisted, have been shortlisted. Now they really want to take some of them and name them. Now this is what will perform most of the most important debate of the week, which is what the president of Ruto is taking shape. And therefore, we need to really ventilate and say, how should we go about forming the presidency of Ruto in terms of his administration? Because your CSS and your PSS determine the core of your administration. So first of all, in Kenya in history, we have always glorified what is called experience over performance, and that's what we call mediocrity, because most of the time you can glorify experience over performance. I've ever heard someone say, so-and-so is a chartered civil servant. He has served for over 50 years. He served for over 40 years. He served for over 20 years. But little do they tell us, what do they do? Now, let's look at some of the biggest names in the public service. And some of them are called Francis Muthaura. He's been a great civil servant. People said he served very well under Kibaki. But if they did a great job, why are we still talking about teething issues in the public service? Did they fix it? What contribution did they make to the public service in terms of performance? So I would like to ask you a question. If I give you 3 cards, one card being performance, one card being experience, and one card being qualification, which card will be the most important? When I asked this question one day to some executives in a class when I was teaching, they told me the first card will be, some people said qualification, some people said experience, some people said performance. And let me tell you what, if you ask me as an expert in governance and performance, I'll tell you that the most important card among qualification, experience, and performance is performance. So let us judge everything on performance. For example, when William Ruto will be forming his government in terms of getting the cabinet and getting the PSS, I'm sure what should be considered supreme is performance. You appoint so and so because they are qualified, because in the call there's some minimum qualification they are required. They also have some experience as required there. But where they're coming from, how have their performance been? For example, when you hear somebody who has always been loyal to you, service to you, then you give them in charge of an entire cabinet with over 18 parastatals under them. They have never served anything in that level. Are you glorifying loyalty, which I call experience, over performance? They have never been able to turn around even a shop. They have never been able to run a farm. They have just been your friends, your buddies. I'm not saying there's any, but I'm saying in case there is, just look at the cabinet list proposed. Look at the list of PSS. Are we having people who have a record of performance wherever they are? Or are we just making noise of experience and ignoring the fact that we also need performance? When you begin your career like myself, we began by qualification. You get a minimum degree. Some of them, I'm told, are questionable degrees. Of course, after that, we go to, okay, if your degree does not help you, how about your experience? You have no experience of running something like a certain ministry. I don't want to mention names here. Names under witness protection. Then we go back and ask yourself, okay, if you have no qualification, which can be unquestionable, and also don't have unquestionable experience, do you have any track record of performance? So if you add all these things together and performance becomes superior, let us not judge people based on their experiences, loyalty, and the rest. Let's look at whether they have performed somewhere and proven themselves a track record. And let me end up by saying that I remember the debate between John McCain and President Obama. John McCain positioned himself as the most experienced person to become the head of state and the commander-in-chief of the United States of America. And when he flew a military plane to show he has been able to fly a military plane and that his experience is more pronounced than Obama's experience, Obama did not have to fight with him on whether he's more experienced than McCain. Obama went and said, when he went to the Senate, I'm a senator, you are a senator, let's look at how you voted every time. And they found that 100% of the time, when Obama voted yes, John McCain voted no. And they found out when McCain voted for something positively, Obama voted negatively. And all the time when Obama voted for something, Obama was right, and 100% McCain was wrong. So then they said, even with the longer period of service in the Senate that McCain had, he had experience of making the wrong decisions rather than making the right decisions. So he was in a vicious cycle of making the wrong decisions rather than just making the right decisions. So even if Obama had less experience, he was less experienced in the Senate, but he made the right decision, which means Obama outperformed McCain by not having so many experience, by making the right decision, by outperforming John McCain in terms of the outcome of his decision in the Senate. And therefore, Americans glorified Obama by making him president, proving that he has performed, not just that his experience. It was experience they could have elected John McCain. They chose Obama because of the so-called performance, not experience. Qualification Obama had because he had a Harvard degree. So let us also look at it here when we shall be forming the cabinet and the PSS coming on board and the entire Ruto administration. Let us not judge people on where they were, which side of the coalition they were. Let us not judge them whether they were not supporting us, because I've heard people saying that people who are not supporting Kenya Kwanza should not apply to work in Ruto government. If you exempt them from working for this government, also exempt them from paying taxes, because that's the only fair thing you can do. Let us allow Ruto to choose his government based on its performance first, secondly by experience, and lastly by qualification. In that order, we shall have a good government, because Mr. President, we want to succeed, because if you don't succeed, look at here, 4 million Kenyans facing starvation. So many people are in Fuliza. So many people are having devastated life. Cost of life is going up. So you must succeed. And to succeed, you must have a team sheet that wins this league. Thank you.